Hey everyone, it's Sensei Victoria Whitfield here, your journey partner in business, welcoming you back to episode 141 of the Journeypreneur Podcast. This is your source for channeled holistic stress management techniques, guidance, inspiration, and motivation from the best to stay on your path to rapid financial ascension and massive impact as a conscious entrepreneur. So the title of today's podcast episode is The Company You Keep. And I am currently en route driving to a massage appointment. It's a Monday, Monday afternoon, and I'm excited to get a massage, and I wanted to share some insights from a few of the sales calls that I was on last week, especially around the people that we as energy conscious entrepreneurs surround ourselves with. So I had a series of sales calls as usual, and by the way, shout out to my team. Thank you for kicking things up a notch. I love my team and my marketing manager. They're doing amazing, and so I'm talking to a lot more amazing entrepreneurs like yourselves. They're really helping me connect with you, and so I just really want to give some special shout outs to my team first and foremost. So, I wouldn't be on those sales calls without you. So with that though, what comes up during these conversations, and a sales call, by the way, for me is a in-depth, grounded spiritual clearing experience, right? We explore not just what you may be purchasing or not, but also what's standing in your way. And I was on a sales call with a guy, I was on a sales call with a gal, and both of them are deeply intuitive, energy sensitive, spiritually conscious entrepreneurs who are on their own journey of financial ascension. And they were both, unbeknownst to one another, they have not met, they don't know each other, and I'm not going to say their names, but if you're listening and you know who you are, they are on different parts of the country, right, from different parts of the world originally. It's interesting though, and two totally different, completely different businesses, but they're going through the same thing. It's so great. I'm really grateful for the work that I do, because there's very clear solutions that I provide for very specific problems that we as energy conscious entrepreneurs that we face. And so they both were having this general scenario, and I wanted to do a podcast episode on this to share it because I think it's really powerful. I think it speaks for a lot of us as conscious entrepreneurs, and it's around you yourself, for us ourselves as growth-minded individual, we're super driven, we're getting coaching, right? We're making breakthroughs and interested in transforming our lives and taking our businesses and our health to the next level. We're very driven. We favor momentum, right? We're into meditation and clearing the mind and connecting to source reality and all of that. We're progressive and highly creative, intuitive individuals. And then we have family members. We have friends and family who are amazing, loving, creative, fabulous, just the most beautiful, brilliant people, but along the way they just have different personality types, or they maybe just cut from a different cloth. And I am so grateful that most of my family is cut from a different cloth, because that means, when I need support in the areas that I'm weak, they are strong, and in the areas that they're weak, I'm strong. That's the gift of being together, right? Diversity is gorgeous and fabulous and empowering. And at the same time, it can also be a bit isolating. So they both were describing, this man and this woman were both describing a similar experience where they had been avid meditators in the past, and they have businesses that have been growing for some time now, and they've received coaching and they've worked on their mindset. They've got all the books and the information products and been to retreats and workshops and things for bettering yourself and your business, like growing yourself, growing your business. Absolutely. And they'll have this experience. They were both describing to me separately that they would be able to get into the vortex, like Abraham Hicks says, and have like really high vibration and amazing, and then something will happen to kind of kick them out of the vortex. They'll like find like a really good flow, and then something will always happen. Something will always happen that just kind of knocks them back to square one, or they have to keep trying to pulling themselves together. And there's been this kind of creeping depression that's been creeping up on them, and then they miss being in positive community. They miss being around other like-minded individuals who are not only interested in making more money, but also opening their heart and aligning their energy, right? So that financial and spiritual abundance is what they're looking for. And so this is where their story started to diverge a little bit. On the man's side, he was discussing, doing his best to support his family and be there for different members of his family who are having things coming up, and that was weighing on his heart naturally, right? Welcome to being a human being that cares and has a heart, right? And then the woman, she was describing to me, like her story diverges where she has an incredible loving husband, so when things kind of don't work out, he says, it's okay, you don't have to, just relax, you don't have to work so hard, right? You don't have to just keep growing the business, I can support you or something like that. And so what can happen is that with the company that we keep, and I've seen this, both sides of the fence have happened to me personally, where there's, as a caregiver in the family, it weighs on your heart. It can be really draining. As like a high energy, highly creative, visionary kind of person, to really focus all your energy on being there, wholly and completely being present and loving. That takes a lot of energy, and it is worth it. Absolutely. It's the bigger the front, the bigger the back, as one of my mentors would always say. It takes a toll. It takes a toll, and it's hard to be in deep caregiving and be growing the business and closing sales and all of that, right? I'm one woman with 24 hours in my day, at least 8 of which are devoted to my bed, like sleeping. So I'm one woman. I can only handle so much. So my heart opened for when he was telling that side of his story. And then on the other sales call, when I was sitting with the lady, and her beautiful story of her awesome, supportive, amazing husband just guarding her energy and protecting her, right? As this entrepreneurial thing is a roller coaster, right? We are on it. And it is an emotionally harrowing experience, and you're taking big risks. And the other side of taking big risks involves processing big failures, small failures, big failures, and things not working out or things kind of going sideways all the time. And that also takes a lot of energy. It's a lot of emotional energy to be like, all right, I'm going to try again, or all right, let's pivot, or okay, maybe we try this or something, to to keep going, right? Or when the person on the sales call says, this is absolutely for me, right now I don't feel it's the right time, and then to be able to gracefully say, okay, no problem, the door is open whenever you're ready to walk through it, and here are the things that you lose if you decide to not make a decision today, but I want you to know that you're free at any time, to come on back and we can talk again. Like, to gracefully, to have enough energy to do that, to take rejection and disappointment. It takes a lot of energy, and it is just so nice to have someone to shelter you from that discomfort, to say, it's okay, babe, rest, relax, don't worry about it. It's not that big a deal. It's just there. The business will be there when you come back tomorrow. Just rest, it'll be there when you come back next month, etc. It's beautiful and nurturing to have that kind of a covering presence, and that's absolutely sacred. And it can start to slow you down. And we were talking about this, how the caregiving as well as the receiving, like, oh, don't worry about it, oh, it's okay, type of soothing from family and friends who are giving you their heart, absolutely their whole heart. It's a beautiful thing. It can put a damper on your momentum, because then it'll get in. I know for me, and we were talking about this on these calls separately, me with each of them, that for me in the past, what I've had is that it'll get in my head of like, okay, well, maybe I do need to just, maybe I should just slow down, or maybe I could just come back to this later, or it's not that big a deal, that kind of a thing. And I'll miss out on some of the creative momentum, or I may even find myself in a really cozy rut or a depressed rut, depending, right, on what's the situation. If I'm deep into caregiving, oh, absolutely, that's the depressed rut for sure. But if I'm deep into relaxing, disconnecting, I could get into a lack of creativity rut, right? Where I'm like, oh, I'm being very kind to myself because of the company that I keep. And what came out in both of the calls was discussing the importance of being around people who are both entrepreneurs and spiritual. So let me explain. And this came out super clear when I was talking to the lady. I want to make sure I captured it for you, all my listeners here on the podcast, so that you could see what's at work in our lives and in businesses, and really make sure that you have something to support you in this. So we want people who are not just entrepreneurs and who are not just spiritual in our lives, listed as the company that we keep. We want both. We want both. This is very important. And let me break this down for a moment. So on one side, we have beautiful, brilliant, amazing, spiritual people who are like our ride or die friends and family, who are just incredibly emotionally and energetically nourishing people to be around. They're peaceful, they're calming, right? Spiritual people are amazing. They have this incredible faith that can really ground and clear one's energy. And I absolutely love that. I champion that. I celebrate that as something that I know I live off of. I've got to have that in my life. And absolutely. But at the same time, what can happen, though, is that if you're only surrounded by deeply spiritual people, this calming, soothing, forgiving energy to be deeply spiritual. I don't know about you, but I've been in quite a few spiritual communities as someone who is, oh my goodness, look at this person doing their hair in the car. I love driving. All right, New Jersey. Getting back to what I was saying. Oh, squirrel. So being someone who has gone through different spiritual communities, right, as a Reiki master, right, and learning different forms of meditation, you get around really amazing, loving, nurturing people, right, in energy and meditation and yoga communities, where, you know, for my Jamaican people, everything's Irie, right, where, you know, don't worry and you let it go and all of that. Things are very, very calming. But what can happen is that also if I've seen, for me personally, when I'm only around spiritual people, if I'm only hanging out with spiritual people, maybe this is just me, but both of these people that I was talking to had the same situation. I find that I start to lose some of my momentum. Because, oh my gosh, being, engaging in different spiritual practices is so pleasurable. And so I will sink completely in it. I'll forget about my business, forget about any other creative projects or things or stuff I'm trying to break through. And I just want to bask and soak and relax and commune and enjoy. It becomes less of the momentum, the forward momentum for me as an entrepreneur starts to go down when I'm only around spiritual people, and I end up, being kinder or too kind to myself of oh, I didn't finish that email. Oh, that's all right. That's okay. Or, oh, I didn't make it to that Zoom meeting. I don't think I'm going to go. I don't feel like it. And this is kind of a paradox, right? Because here I am, I'm a little what matters most is how you feel. Absolutely. But there are certain feelings that are not productive to have. And I've got to be in tune with the fact that I'm feeling more stagnant when I'm around only spiritual people, right? That entrepreneurial drive, that creative spark, that passion, that fire starts to get soothed and dimmed when I've found personally. And you can, send me an email back, team@victoriawhitfield.com, if you have anything about this too, or send me a private message on Facebook, if this is you too. And so there's that. But I value those deeply spiritual people in my friends and family circles because that's my heart, right? They fill my heart with so much love, and that's absolutely necessary. But I can't just have only spiritual people around me. On the flip side is entrepreneurs, right? Where being around entrepreneurs, holy crap, I'm inspired, I'm excited, I'm coming up with new ideas, where we're going back and forth, we're masterminding, we're excited about making money, and you can be really, much more open about that around your entrepreneurial friends than, say, your spiritual friends, when in networking, we're, sending and receiving referrals, it's so much, there's a lot more fire energy, right? And we're making bank, basically, and I love it. I love the fire, I love the excitement, I love the passion. But what happens is that when I'm only around people who are just entrepreneurs but are not spiritual, what happens is that it's the other end of the spectrum, where it's the non-stop hustle. Oh my gosh, 80 to 120 hour work weeks, right? And that's oh yeah, I was up at 2 a.m. grinding, blah, 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 blah. And meanwhile, their blood pressure's through the roof, or they're insomniacs, right? And that's seen as oh yeah, that person goes hard, rather than, hello, you're ruining your health, and when's the last time you saw your kids or your partner? Where are you? When's the last time you actually went out and enjoyed yourself, or even saw the doctor, or, saw your massage therapist? What are you doing? But for people who are just entrepreneurs and not really spiritual, that loving, nurturing, juicy energy, the one that is nourishing, can get a bit lost because it's traded for the juice and the excitement of all forward motion, right? If we were to only inhale or to only exhale, we would not be breathing long. It involves the inhale and the exhale. That's nature. Nature follows cycles. I think that was actually the first episode here on the Journeypreneur Podcast, is honoring your cycles. So with that, we were talking, me individually with both of them separately, about this, seeing in our lives how there's amazing, fiery, entrepreneurial people in circles and groups, and there's amazing, juicy, warm, loving, spiritual people, family, friends, circles and groups that we belong to. But the most powerful and sustaining force is to be around people who are not just spiritual, but they're also entrepreneurs, who are not just entrepreneurs, but they're also spiritual, because they have so much more balance, range, depth, and stability than either side, like just by itself, just spiritual people or just entrepreneurs. And I wanted to bring this forward to you as my sister Journeypreneur, as my brother Journeypreneur, on this path to rapid financial ascension and massive impact, right, for the highest good of all life. Here we are on our journeys, and both of these people that I was talking to last week were missing out on having people who are not just spiritual and not just entrepreneurs, but both in their lives, and that's the key to getting them out of their rut, right? Whether it's the creative rut where you're just, I can't come up with anything new, right? I'm feeling unclear or, kind of uninspired, or, maybe I'm not cut out for this, that creative rut. And then also the exhausted caregiver rut of, I am just like, I love my work. I absolutely do, but it's heavy now. I'm tired. I am so tired. That, right? That other rut. So both of them really brought that forward, this need for us as energy sensitive, right, and spiritually conscious, mindful, and growth minded entrepreneurs like us to have people in our lives and to associate with people who are not just spiritual and not just entrepreneurs, but who are spiritual entrepreneurs, who are both. And that's why they were sitting on the other end of the phone talking to me about joining my Visionary Shaman Circle, right, or joining one of my programs, is because that's what I provide. As the world's first business Reiki master, it's an honor and pleasure to gather the most juicy and amazing, fabulous, and successful spiritual entrepreneurs like you, right? And we journey together for the long haul so that we have more of a sense of stability and groundedness together. So I just wanted to bring that up and stimulate your thoughts around, what is the company I keep? Like, look at the company that you keep. How have you also set up your company, right? Meaning your business. Do you have space in your business for, yes, growing and money and wealth and sales, as well as relaxing and grounding and clearing and connecting to the universe, connecting to Holy Spirit, right? Flowing through you and your business. Look at the company you keep and analyze it today. And that's where we're going to leave off for today because, well, for one, I got to run into my massage. By the way, if this is your first time tuning into the Journeypreneur Podcast, hiya! Thanks for stopping by. Thank you for your support. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on iTunes so that you get the notifications first every time new episodes are released. And while you're there, by the way, leave us a 5-star review, because on iTunes, that's the only place where you can leave comments. And I want to hear it. This is episode 141. Tell me, what was the one thing from today's episode that stood out the most to you, that was your main takeaway that you needed to hear today, right? I would love to read your story. Thanks to all of those who have shown lots of love on iTunes. I feel you. You are the reason why I can keep giving and loving and posting and generating content. You are my inspiration. I'm here to serve you. Right? When I started this podcast, I had no idea that we would be over 140 episodes. I think this is wild. And I'm so grateful for your support and all of your love and your 5-star reviews. Thank you so much. And by the way, if this speaks to you, if you want to talk to me more about my programs, head on over to victoriawhitfield.com/contact, right? So that you can hop on my calendar and we can have a conversation. All right, I'm going to end this podcast episode the same way that I do every time. Please remember to enjoy the journey. Do not lose your glow as you grow in life and business. And I'll see you in the next podcast episode. Mwah! Bye for now.